Something exciting recently happened in women's health that I have honestly been waiting years for. PCOS was officially renamed PMOS by the Lancet. Now, the Lancet is one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world. So, if you've been told that you don't have PCOS because you don't have cysts on your ovaries, or you've been sitting with a diagnosis that never really quite explained the way that you feel, this episode is going to make a lot of things click for you because a new name is very meaningful, but it doesn't automatically mean that women are going to get better care, and we need to talk about it. Welcome to Healthy Buzz, the podcast for women who are craving honest answers in a supported community. Hosted by Brandy Halmerding, a certified nutrition therapy practitioner who believes your body isn't broken, but the narrative around women's health is. Each week, we're diving deep into holistic health topics, challenging the one-size-fits-all approach, and empowering you to trust your own informed intuition. Get ready to feel seen, supported, and seriously informed. This is Healthy Buzz, where collaboration meets unfiltered transparency in women's health. So let's talk about the harm in the term polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS. The name implies that there's going to be cysts on the ovaries, but research confirms that not everybody has cysts on their ovaries if they have PCOS or PMOS. Also, not everybody who has a cyst on their ovary has PMOS. So we needed to change the name here. To get a diagnosis of PCOS or PMOS, there's the Rotterdam criteria, and you need to check two of these three boxes for that diagnosis. So the first characteristic is you have irregular or absent ovulation. So how this translates then is that you're having less than 9 periods per year, or your cycles are greater than 35 days. We can also see that maybe you're only having a period once a quarter, or maybe not at all. Now, this is going to be different than I'm perimenopause or postmenopausal. There's a defining difference there. Like, these PCOS symptoms are usually happening in your earlier cycling years. Then criteria number 2 is that you have high androgen levels. Now, visible signs of having high androgens are going to be something like excess facial or body hair, acne, thinning hair on your head, oily skin. Those are some visible signs of excess androgens. But then on labs, you can see elevated free and total testosterone or other androgen levels being elevated. Now, characteristic number 3, or criteria number 3, would be those polycystic ovaries. So this would mean that you had multiple cysts on your ovaries, or that your ovarian volume is increased. We can also see on blood labs potentially an elevated AMH level. But as I mentioned before, you can have cysts on your ovaries and not have PCOS. So it's not always a defining criteria. Now, remember, you have to have 2 of those 3 different categories in order to have gotten the PCOS diagnosis previously. I'm suspecting that that criteria is going to be shifting and changing with this new name of PMOS. So we're just going to have to wait and see how they change this. But I just want you to know that, this isn't just a semantic issue. The Lancet paper notes that up to 70% of affected individuals remain undiagnosed. So this name is part of that reason why, because many of the women don't have cysts on their ovaries. The name was reinforcing a narrow reproductive ovarian frame only, and it's missing the condition's other drivers, such as insulin resistant, androgen excess, and neuroendocrine disruption. So this is very relatable to me. When I got my diagnosis of PCOS at 38, I had been off hormonal birth control for 3 years. Prior to that, I was on hormonal birth control for a total of 17 years. So there was a lot of masking my symptoms. But when I was getting my diagnosis, I knew things were off. I was in school to become a nutrition therapy practitioner, and so I knew I wanted to go that holistic route. And it still took me 3 different providers to get that diagnosis, 3 years to get that diagnosis of PMOS, and I was dismissed. So I never got an ultrasound to show whether I had cysts on my ovaries or not, but I was checking the other 2 boxes. And, fast forward, even recently, I was talking with a practitioner about my situation, about my history when it came to my health and the PCOS. And they said, "Did you have an ultrasound done to show that you had cysts on your ovaries?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." And I'm going to be honest with you that it started to make me second guess again whether I really or not have PCOS. This paper, the Lancet paper, explicitly names some reasons why we're changing the name of PCOS to PMOS is because of patient dissatisfaction and the fragmented care, because there's some significant downstream consequences that happen when the name is not right and people are not checking the box for those cysts on their ovaries. The old name literally made women feel like they were crazy. I feel that even just recently, I'm talking like January recently, I felt like I was a little bit crazy because they planted that seed in my head when they asked if I had an ultrasound to show that I had cysts, and I have not had an ultrasound. So women are being sent home feeling, one, like they're crazy, and they're giving really generic advice like just eat less and work out more, and have you tried managing your stress? And oh, by the way, here is a prescription for a birth control pill. That's going to fix your period. Side note, it will not. So now we have a new name. Now we're going to have PCOS renamed, rebranded as PMOS. So Polyendocrine Metabolic Syndrome. Let's break down what this new name actually means. So polyendocrine. This means multiple hormones are involved. We're talking insulin, androgens, gonadotropins, neuroendocrine pathways. This is not now just an ovary problem. We're realizing that it's multi-hormones involved here. Metabolic. So the Lancet states that insulin resistance is present in 85% of the people who have PMOS, including 75% of people who have quote unquote lean PCOS. So more to come on that term lean PCOS in a minute here, but PMOS, PCOS is a metabolic condition. Full stop. The end. This is affecting all of the metabolic processes in your body as a whole. So the ovarian. So we are no longer talking about ovarian as an ovarian cyst, but rather we're talking about ovarian dysfunction and follicular disruption. They're what really is going on here. Yes, there could be cysts because of the follicular disruption that is happening, but cysts are no longer a defining feature. So the name change is not arbitrary. It took a lot of support to get this, like over 14,000 survey responses from patients and healthcare professionals from across the world worked on getting this name change. So this was a rigorous global patient-led project, a big project that was taken on in order to get this name change. But a name change without care change literally means nothing. It can take women so many years to get that PMOS diagnosis. There's so much medical gaslighting that is happening out there. So this is a real issue for women who don't fit that mold of somebody with the PMOS markers, checking all those boxes. So this time can take a really long time to get that diagnosis. And then we have people with quote unquote lean PCOS, which I really hope that this term goes away and that we quit using it altogether because it's not serving anybody. So lean PCOS is a term that was used to describe individuals who have a normal BMI of under 25, but they have irregular cycles and high androgens, and or they might have cysts on their ovaries. So it can take women who are in a smaller body habitus even longer to get that PCOS diagnosis because they don't, quote unquote, look like somebody with PCOS. Meanwhile, insulin resistance, their cardiometabolic health, all of that is progressively getting worse while they're getting bounced around the medical system. And I can 100% relate to this. When I was on my journey to figure out where's my period, what's going on with my body after I stopped birth control, one of the naturopaths I worked with for a while kept dismissing me. I would be like, I think I have PCOS. And she's like, no, you don't fit the aesthetics of what somebody with PCOS looks like. Turns out there's more than aesthetics to what somebody's metabolic picture and endocrine system is doing. So per the Lancet data, PMOS increases the odds of cardiovascular disease by 1.68 times, myocardial infarction by 2.5 times, and stroke by 1.71 times. So this is not a condition that can just be managed with a prescription and a good luck. Because right now, the standard of care is largely to give women with PMOS metformin, birth control, and now, even more than ever, a GLP-1. Now, these aren't inherently wrong, but when they are being used as the starting point instead of a bridge to help, this is really going to impact the health of a woman with PMOS. So the paper is outlining like an 8-stage global implementation strategy that they're planning with like ICD coding updates, electronic record updates, guideline revisions. So they're hoping to have this all rolled out by 2028. So we're going to have more to come on this. So what do we take away from this? Well, we got to continue to advocate for ourselves. Advocacy got us a name, but now we need to actually get our voices heard when we're in the exam room. We're talking like getting that care that we deserve, having that nutrition support that we need, the mental health support, and actual follow-up care. So common does not mean normal. PCOS is really common. Like 1 in 9 women are affected with PMOS, and a renamed diagnosis doesn't erase the years of women being dismissed. So if you have a PMOS diagnosis, I just want you to know that your symptoms are real. The name was always wrong. You were never wrong. If you suspect you have PMOS, like women are so intuitive. Women know, like I knew I had PMOS, but I kept getting dismissed. So if you suspect that you have PMOS, it's time to really start taking some detailed notes to advocate for yourself. I'm talking tracking your symptoms. What's your cycle length like? What's your period length like? How is your mood? Are you having acne or hair loss or an increase in facial hair? How is your energy level? How are your cravings and weight management issues? So symptoms are communicating to you. And the goal is to understand what your body is saying, not just to turn the volume down on these symptoms. So here are some things that you can ask your provider. You can say, hey, can we look at my insulin resistance picture? What are my androgens like? Can we look at my metabolic markers? We don't need just that ovarian cysts on ultrasound anymore to confirm PMOS. So PMOS, this is a multi-system condition that it really deserves a multi-system approach. Talking nutrition, blood sugar regulation, sleep, stress, and understanding your specific hormone picture. So this is a huge win. The rename is a huge win that we definitely need to take a time and pause and celebrate. But there's still a lot of work to do. So for the woman out there who's listening right now, who's navigating PMOS and they feel like they're not getting the support that they're looking for, they're just giving a prescription and told good luck, basically. I want you to know that I am here to support you. This is exactly the type of work I do, where we're looking beyond what happens in that doctor's office to address the factors that are impacting your health for the long term. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Healthy Buzz. I hope this conversation has left you feeling seen, supported, and ready to take the next step in your health journey. Love what you heard? Make sure you subscribe to Healthy Buzz so you never miss an honest conversation. And if you found this valuable, please take a moment to leave a review. I truly appreciate it. For exclusive weekly tips and holistic strategies, be sure to subscribe to my weekly newsletter. The link is in the show notes. Remember, this isn't just nutrition, it's permission to trust your body. I'll catch you on the next episode of Healthy Buzz.